Everybody. Today we're going to be changing the oil in the lawnmowers, the snapper, the whatever the hell that other one is, and this one, the three that I use. And we're going to start with this one. This is the worst. This is a Boland's. I still haven't found the code date on this engine. Oh, there it is. Code 07. Okay, so this is a 2007 model, which is right about what I was thinking. So, there you go. This is one of the old flathead engines. In fact, every mower that I have is one of the old flathead engines, because that's about all I bother with now, because the newer ones just don't last. But this mower, I don't think the oil has ever been changed in it. I know it hasn't been changed at least for the past 3 years, but the oil was black as hell before then. So the previous owner, for some reason, did not want the oil changed. But now that I own it, if I can get this off of here, that would be great. Now that I own it, I'm going to change this crap out of here. Hopefully it doesn't smoke a ton. I don't think it should. It doesn't seem like it's really burning it too badly. In fact, it doesn't seem like it's really burning at all. You can see here how black that is. That's the blackest I've ever seen lawnmower oil. Look at that. This is a white stick it's on, by the way. So that's the blackest I've ever seen it, lawnmower oil, and I don't think it's ever been changed since 2007. This is probably the oil that the mower came with, which isn't surprising. This thing's a little bit cross-threaded, so sometimes it's a pain to get back on. You can see on my hands, it's just turning my hand black there. This is the blackest oil that I've ever seen in a mower. There we go. So we're gonna go ahead and start this guy up, let it run for about 5 minutes to get the oil nice and flowy, if that's a word. And then we're gonna drain it out. And I'm going to put it in a clear jar so we can see just how black it is, because generally, if it looks black, if it looks even halfway black on the stick, it's going to look a lot worse when you get it out. So I'm interested to see how bad this looks. Despite that, I think it's almost out of gas, because the primer, yeah, it's almost out of gas. The primer's not really doing much, but I'm not going to fill it back up. Despite how black this oil is, it really doesn't seem to it doesn't seem to burn a bunch of oil. It has a little puff of smoke sometimes when you first start it, but a lot of these do. And it starts generally on the first pull. I'm gonna hit it one compression and I bet you it'll start. Alright, I'm gonna let it run and we'll be back. Okay, I'm going to take you over here. It's been running for probably 5 minutes or so, not much. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, look at this. Ridiculous. So, we're not going to take the plug out of the bottom. I don't even know if this has a plug on the bottom. Most of these do, so I would say it does. We're just gonna do the tip it sideways type thing. I've not really found any benefit by taking it out of the plug out of the bottom, and I've also often found that you can commonly cause issues by doing that with the plug not sealing back properly. So I got the oil out of it, and the news isn't horrible. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's quite a bit of metal flakes suspended in there, but I've definitely seen a lot worse. So this engine shouldn't have any major damage done to it. Well, that's a piece of dirt. Okay. So I put the oil in a clear jar, and you can see just how black it is. So that's good. It's also quite thick, especially for something I just ran. But that's okay. So now we're going to put our new oil in there. And let's see here. I'm even going to go and use a funnel. Now I've got the expensive shit here. Premium 4-cycle engine oil from Briggs & Stratton. You don't need to use this. Just use some 10W30. If it's an older mower with a lot more hours on it, put 10W40 in it. Now I'm just going to put this in a bit at a time. Another option is you could look up the specification for how much oil it's supposed to hold, and you could measure it out. That's always an option. That's what they really want you to do. I find just putting some in there and checking it on the dipstick is easier. So I'll tell you, I don't think this is going to be enough, but we'll see. The dipstick checks the level screwed all the way down. So we're at the very bottom part of the dipstick, so we need to put some more in. I'll tell you, it's a lot harder to read the oil level with the clean oil. The old oil was so black, I mean, it's just right up there. Okay, we're right, you can see, right to there, which is where it's supposed to be. So we'll check that once more. Yep, we're good. So however much that was is how much goes in there. Surprisingly, it wasn't low at all, even with that old oil in there. So it's obviously not burning or leaking it too bad. Come on. We're going to check it one more time because I'm paranoid. This is not like a pressurized system with a pump or anything. So the level, in all honesty, should not change at all. But we will check it once more. Yep, we're good. Notice the new oil is already starting to get a little bit black, just mixing with what was already in there. So after a couple of uses, I might end up changing this one again. But we seem good. We got this crap out of there. Okay, now it's the snapper's turn. I've done some work on the snapper. I got the correct carburetor back on it, with the primer bulb, so the linkages are all lined up and whatnot, and it doesn't have that stupid auto choke carburetor on it anymore. I just put a normal primer bulb type. I still haven't gotten that little cover that goes over there. I don't know the part number for that. Now this is more like what the oil should look like. This is oil that needs changing. This is from last season. I put it in here, so that's more like what you want it to look like. So where'd that wire go? We'll let this one run a little bit too. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just going to turn it over on its side. This one doesn't seem to have had as much oil in it. You can actually see the color difference between this oil and the other oil that was in the other mower. You can see it floating on top of this. Those are like little air bubbles floating on top of there, which is kind of interesting. This oil is more like a muddy brown color, so I guess that's more normal, but you can see once you drain it out, even though it looked clear on the dipstick almost, this is still pretty dark, but it's not black. Now this one you don't have to screw it down, it just kind of sits down on there. You just gotta do that to check the level. And it looks like we're actually right there. We're slightly over full, so we're gonna have to put a little bit of that out. Just a tiny bit. These engines, you don't want to overfill them because they use a splash type oil system, and if it's over full, that might not work correctly. So you don't want to overfill them. See about that. Settle for a second. Okay, that looks like right where we want it. That's good. It's still a little tiny bit above the full mark. Full mark is right there, but that's okay. Once again, there's really no reason to do this, but I will go ahead and start it up and then check it one more time, just for good measure. Okay, we'll check this one more. And yep, we're still right where we need to be. Okay, finally we have this one. This is from 2009, although the oil in this one I'm sure has been changed. It's very clean. Not very clean, but it's not dirty. You can see there's some oily stuff stuck around there, so this one does have a slow sump gasket leak, but not enough for me to really concern with at this point, or ever, as long as it doesn't get too bad. So we'll run this one for a little while as well. I might have to go up and get a different container of oil for this one, because I think I'm almost out of the other. And yeah, same deal. This one likes being primed a lot for some reason. Can't exactly say what all that's about. Oh, the string came off. I can't exactly say what all that smoking's about. It must have been flipped over some weird way or something. Okay, so that works. This one just ran out of fuel. It hasn't been going quite as long as I would have wanted it to, but I'm not about to put some more gas in it, so that's alright. The smoking cleared up after about 30 seconds. My best guess is that it was tipped on its side or something, somehow got oil in the intake or in the muffler, something like that. Oil filter, or sorry, air filter. Oh, the air filter is quite dirty. Need to clean that, or replace or clean or whatever, something with that. Same ordeal here. Let me get the pan. I didn't put the oil from the other one, or I'm not going to for this one in a jar. Yeah, I think you get the idea. Now at this point, this pan's already full of like little shiny specks of metal flakes and shit, mostly from that first mower we did, so kind of just gotta ignore those. There's really not much coming out of this one, is there? Let's see if I can aid this along somehow. Not really. There we go. Yeah, sometimes if you make sure your handle isn't engaged, because if it, I mean, you don't want it to fire up on you. But sometimes if you give the blade a slow spin, it'll sometimes help push some of that out of there. You can see this looked almost clear on the dipstick, but you can see it's also quite black. So, just looking at it on the dipstick for color can be deceiving. You really want to change this at least once every other season, or else you get this. I might hold on to this. This is like the blackest oil I've ever seen in a lawnmower that's actively running, that is. I've seen worse in some things that have been locked up, but in something that was actively running and not giving any sort of issue, this is almost as black it looks, but I mean obviously it's not, but that looked clear on the dipstick, guys. Keep that in mind. Can't just go by the dipstick. Dipstick is for telling you the level, not for telling you, hey, your oil's good to go. Because unless it's really bad, it's not going to look too bad on the dipstick. And once it starts looking bad on the dipstick, it's really bad. Now, I think we got about the right enough of oil here. I'm just going to dump the rest of this in here. Check the level of it. Where did I put the dipstick? Over here. Oh, perfect. Look at this. This one you also screw it down to check the level. It doesn't get much more perfect than that. So, one container, if you have 3 mowers with this style engine, the newer flatheads I think take, or the newer overhead valve engines take more oil. I think these old flatheads take less. One of those was a Quantum though, so it takes more, like on that snapper. This size container, this is 48 fluid ounces, or 1.419 liters, will do 3 lawnmowers. So there you go. We'll go ahead and do the same thing we did on the other ones. I'm gonna have to add a little bit of gas to this guy, aren't I? Yes. Oh, it's not an approved safety can. You're gonna spill gas all over. Didn't spill a drop, but I'll tell you, those approved safety cans where you have to hold this while you're pushing this, while you're rotating this, while you're squeezing in on this, while you're balancing the jug of gasoline on the lip of a gas can, or a gas tank, yeah, you're gonna spill some with those for sure. Alright. This is that mower, if you remember a couple videos back, I picked up. Level's still perfect. I picked this one up. I paid, God, I forget. Well, there's still a price tag on. Oh, no, there's not. I think I paid 30 bucks for it. Anyway, yeah, and it wouldn't run. It had that carb issue. Then I cleaned the carburetor out, and it kept surging. And then it got to where it wouldn't start at all after I took the carburetor apart and cleaned it out. I don't think I got that part on video. So I was going to just order one of them cheap carburetor, China carburetors. That's what I did for my Snapper and that Boland's, and they run just fine. I don't even bother. If a carburetor needs more than just a simple cleaning and putting it back on, I don't even bother. I mean, a diaphragm and gasket is about $5, and a whole new carburetor with the diaphragm and gasket, and a lot of times they'll come with an air filter, is like $12 to $15. I don't even find it worth it to pull apart carburetors and rebuild them. But I think what had happened was the gasket or something was all wet, because after this sat overnight, it fired right up. It doesn't surge, and it starts right up. It runs just fine. You do have to prime it a lot to get it to start, though. But I think that's more because the engine's sort of worn. You can see it runs very smoothly. I think whoever had this mower before took good care of it, though, because the blade is sharpened, and it's obvious that it has been sharpened. It's not like it's just still sharp as it hasn't been used much. And like I said, that oil has been changed, so that's pretty good. This is a mulcher. It doesn't have a side discharge chute on it. It just kind of mulches the grass up. I'm not a big fan of that, at least for around here. I just, excuse me, I much prefer a side discharge, but that's alright. I really like these old Snapper high vacs. The old aluminum ones are even better, but this one here is still made by Snapper before Briggs & Stratton became a problem and bought them out. But this one's cool. These are cool because you can put they have a chute. You can put the chute on there, or you can put the bag on it, because it has a bag that attaches there. I have the bag, by the way. In fact, I'll show that. Or it has a plate that you can put there if you wanted to use it as a mulcher, so it can be all three. Yeah, here's the bag for it. And it's got that, and it just attaches onto the side chute. I still need to get this really old Snapper running. I was going to put the engine from this guy on it, this tiller, because it's more age appropriate, and it runs perfect. But I think that's a short shaft engine, so that ain't going to work. But honestly, more often than not, I find myself using this Snapper. It's just so smooth and it runs so good. It is heavy though, so on hilly areas I normally use this guy, because this thing is really lightweight and really easy to use, and it's a side discharge. But there you go, all three lawnmowers have clean oil in them now, and they're ready to go for the rest of the season, until next season, when I'll probably change the oil in at least the snapper again, and then the other two can be neglected for another 5 years, and then it'll be time to change it again. Because you want to wait until your oil gets like this. That's got all the nutrients and little metal pieces that your engine needs to run properly in it. In all seriousness though, change your damn oil. It's the least you can do. Especially on the newer ones. You don't get away with that on the newer ones with the overhead valves and the plastic camshafts. Yes, I know some of these have plastic camshafts as well, but these are made so much better and they're more reliable. You don't get away with neglecting the new ones as much as you did these old ones. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.